If anybody needs to report in their numbers, you can email that to the diabetes prevention email. We try to track each week the weight and the number of minutes of activity or exercise. So if you're attending the program for the long term and need to report that out this week, you can send in that email today or tomorrow, and then we'll continue tracking. But I'm going to mute myself, Nicole, so that you have the uh, podium and ability to share your screen.
Good evening. How's everyone doing? Tonight we are doing the diabetes prevention program. We're on session 5, Track Your Food. So tonight's session, we're going to be talking about different resources, information that's out there on ways to track your food, which will hopefully give you better options, better, I guess you can say, goals towards keeping up with what you're eating in order to maintain losing that weight, keeping it off, seeing what you're eating, different things like that. So I'm going to attempt to share my screen. So, like I said, tonight's session is session 5, your gameplay to prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. So I would really love for this to be an interactive session to where I'm not just talking, that I actually get some participation from everyone that's involved if you definitely feel comfortable doing that. Tonight, the purpose of tonight's session is the purpose of tracking food, how to track your food, and how to make sense of food labels. So in those 3 areas, we're going to try to cover some information. Definitely let me know if you have questions. I will do my best to make sure that I'm paying attention to that, or even just speak up if you have anything that you would like to comment and say in regards to that. Like I said, tonight's purpose, how to track your food. The purpose of tracking the food is you want to keep a food diary that's going to give you a breakdown or give you understanding of the foods that you're consuming. That's a self-monitoring tool that you can use to better help guide you towards what your goal would be. Like I said, if that's to maintain, not to gain, or even just to have some weight loss in that. Also, keeping a food log or journal, however you choose to do that, is going to provide a snapshot of different food choices and behaviors that you're using in the food selections that you're preparing. And then it also offers accountability for you. It lets you see the things that you're eating, being accountable, taking the responsibility for what you're consuming, and not just, not being able to understand why there may have been a weight gain or why there may have been cholesterol increases. So keeping a food journal is definitely important in that area in order to help you better maintain and track the foods that you're eating. Let's see here. Does anyone have any questions or comments on that?
No, I tend to underestimate what I think I ate, or if I'm thinking back for the day, I would probably underestimate as opposed to overestimate the calories or the amount, half a cup, and probably would be thinking I was doing better than I was if I didn't just measure it or weigh it or somehow track it.
Well, and that's also one thing that I don't know if anyone went to look at the handout that's actually on the website where you join the session here. There was a handout, and in that session, the participation guide, it was speaking to Sally, who that was her story. Is she was speaking with a friend on, wanting to find some ways to change and how to track her food, and so she was going off of what she could remember that she had eaten. So what she had actually eaten and what was actually consumed were 2 different things. What she had assumed that she had eaten and what she actually consumed were 2 different things. So that's definitely another good purpose as to why you want to track your food. I mean, it could be the difference in 1 to 200 calories just in one simple meal. And if you're eating 3 or 4 times a day and you're miscalculating by 1 to 200 calories, you're at 1,000 calories, just not even for what you have put into what you've consumed for that day. So it's definitely helpful in that. There's definitely a lot of resources when I was doing the research on how to track your food. In one study that I did read, I think it had about 1,700 participants. Research shows that people who log calories lose more weight and are likely to keep the weight off in the long run. Um, Different ways that you can do according to the information I have here, and then also that was in that guide, is to use measuring cups and spoons. I ran into an issue at my house tonight, so I actually had everything laid out that I wanted to use as to some of the things that I use when I'm tracking my food. But some of those things were measuring cups and measuring spoons. Looking at food labels, which is something that we'll also go over in the presentation later on as well. A calculator. If you want to use, some people like to paper and pen it. So you can definitely use that, writing down in the journal. There's food log sheets out there on the website that actually has, it gives you the days of the week. Some journals are actually set up to where it breaks it down by the hour. That way, that gives you more specific ways to track your food, what you're eating, what times that you're eating as well is also a good benefit with tracking the food. Smart apps, computer apps, voice recordings, and photos of your food. So those are some ways. Does anyone have any other ways that they have used to track their food?
I actually use I've used an online, well, a phone app. I've used it for, gosh, almost 6 years. Um, so there are some apps that have a free version. The one I used the most was called Lose It,
Yes.
Losit, and now I use my Fitness Pal. Um,
Yes.
and it's just I just wanted to switch and get a different look. I might switch back to Lose It, but it's another option. You know, pen and paper didn't work for me. The phone app works for me, and I found it easier to log in the future. So yesterday yesterday while I was eating dinner, I logged my meal for today, so my lunch for today. And so doing future logging has really helped me. And so when I do that, all I do is eat the food that I brought with me. I already have it logged, and it's not actually taking a lot more time.
That's very good. That was one of the things that I was definitely want to bring up here in this slide. Like I said, you have the paper and pen where you can do that's the Dr. Oz food log. I read about that log, and so I definitely wanted to put that out there because I had seen examples of it and listened to him explain how to use the log. The food diary there where you want to set your daily goal of what your calorie intake would be, and then you're just breaking it down into what you're actually eating, the number of servings. But for those like Dr. Rayford and myself, I use my Fitness Pal. I think I've been using it now for probably a couple of years, and I actually got really, really tight on myself with it in September. So over the past 4 months, I mean, because when you want to do it, you can. The past 4 months, I'm down 17 pounds this morning. Um, but that's with me. Like I said, the thing I love about the MyFitnessPal app is you can put in what goal you're trying to get to, as far as the weight that your current weight and what weight and how you would like to lose that weight. 1 pound a week, 1.5 or 2 pounds a week, and put that goal in, and it tells you what your calorie intake should be. So I did a 1,200 calorie diet, well, not diet, but I say portion control for about 3 months now, and it's definitely made a difference in my weight, in the things that I eat, and even just in what I consume. I look at it now, and when I want to go walking, because I have my app linked to my, I have a smartphone, I have a smartwatch, and I have all that linked together. So when I exercise and my watch captures that, it actually, I can update it into my Fitness Pal. And once I put that amount in for under exercise, it'll take it off for my total calories for the day, which is sometimes I leave it in, sometimes I take it out just so, I won't consume any more calories than what I need to versus just working out so I have more calories to eat with. But if that works, that works. Um, has anyone else out there tried any other apps or any other resources they've used for tracking your food?
Hey,
Yeah.
so yeah. Oh, I was going to say that there's a plug for the measuring plates. I don't know if Rebecca can tell us about the measuring plates, where you're not using an app, but you're putting food in a measuring plate and eating kind of the serving size that the food fits in. And so for those who are leery about tracking and all that, only eating food in the measuring plate. And previous years we've had measuring plates, so we'll look and see if there's some for participants who are interested.
That's a great
And I,
idea. Go ahead.
and I've actually, like we say, we have the official plates that the company provided us. It will say protein in the bottom, our vegetables. But I've actually bought divider plates here at our little local Dollar General. They don't have the word in the bottom, but they are kind of mimic the size. And so I bought enough to have one for every day. So you don't have to think about it. You just put the protein in that slot that would be for protein, and you could do your meal prep for the entire week just by the amount you fit in that area. But if you didn't have five measuring plates that had the words in the bottom, they do sell just Walmart, Dollar General, those type plates that have a plastic top and then the divided plate.
Okay. That's good. That's a great idea. I definitely love to meal prep. And that meal prepping in those places, that would be something different. So I may think about trying to do that over the next couple of weeks. Anyone else? Have you all had any other different resources or different ways that you go about tracking your food?
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. I was going to say I've used an app called Carb Manager before, and I liked it because it actually pulls from a database where whoever uses the app can upload the information. So if you eat out a lot, like restaurants information is in there, but you have to double check now to make sure it's accurate. And if that's on the free version, and they do have a paid version where it actually provides recipes as well that you can try. So I thought that was interesting because it's got a lot of benefits, but definitely double check what you're putting in. But I like that it could pull from a database and you didn't have to, put in everything yourself because that can be kind of time consuming.
It can, and that's one of the benefits that I like with the MyFitnessPal app is because you can put in maybe not Harvey's, but you can put in McDonald's fries and it'll ask you what size, and so it has it in there. So I do like that option as well for those that are on the go and like you said, may not just have a whole lot of time to track it, and even it allows you to put in the future dates as well. Another app that I also have looked into, I haven't tried it yet, but it's on my list, is the Start Simple with the My Plate app. And so that kind of ties in to what Miss Rebecca was saying as far as the plate. So that would be a good way. I know for me, and maybe some out there that maybe like the idea of the meal prepping. So I'm considering meal prepping with using the plates to see if that also helps a little bit more as far as cutting back. My weight loss has been pretty much based off of some exercise, not even a whole lot, but just my portion control. And so I'm definitely looking forward to trying it with my plates to see how that goes.
Nicole, one thing I'm the oldest person. I have everything paper, pencil, and all. But there is a book called, or a little pamphlet like called Nutrition in the Fast Lane
Okay.
that lists all the major restaurants. So when we're traveling, a lot of times I'll have that in the door. And so
Okay.
if you were going to a specific restaurant, you could open, see their menu, and it breaks down the carbs, the protein, the sugar, etc., for all of their common items that they have. And so you could pick what might would be the healthiest or would fit the best from the restaurant that you go to.
Okay.
So it's handy.
Good. Okay. I didn't know it was a book out there for that. So that's good. That's a good option, like you said, for those that still like to do the paper and pen options. So that's good. So there's definitely resources out there on how to track your food. One thing that I have learned is you need to choose the method that works for you. Um, because we can give you all type of suggestions. You may have to try one that doesn't work, go to and try something else, but you definitely have to choose the method that works for you, in order for this to be engaging and for it to be fun, because it can be. Once you start seeing results, then it becomes to where it's you want to do it more, you want to do it correctly. So it does keep you motivated when you see results. Another thing that we wanted to talk about in tonight's session is we understand the purpose of tracking the food. We understand how to the different resources that are available to track your food. So one thing you also want to be sure that you can understand is how to read food labels. And probably until about, I say maybe 4 or 5 years ago is when I really started paying attention to food labels that were out there. If you can see on your screen here, the total saturated and trans fat, I actually got that scale off of the diabetes website when I was looking into information about different food labels and how sometimes the wording out there may not be actually what it is. So you definitely have to make sure that you pay attention to some things that are on there. I couldn't find one on these three examples that I have here, but some food labels may have things that says net carbs, which is maybe lower than what the actual number of, they'll put net carbs on the label, but that's not actually what the total amount of carbs that you're consuming in that serving. So whenever you're looking at food labels, you definitely want to make sure that you're looking at the total carbohydrates that's in that serving. The values that are here are only for a single serving. It's not for everything that may be in that box or that can, or however it may come. So definitely paying attention to food labels is going to give you a clear idea of what foods you're consuming and how much is in your total fats and your carbohydrates, your added sugars that's in there. Being able to read a food label is definitely going to be a great step towards delaying and preventing that type 2 diabetes by maintaining the foods that you consume.
Nicole, I'd like to add, when you look at the food label, a real important thing is to look at the serving size.
Mm-hmm.
Some foods where, like microwave popcorn, you will get a sense of less calories if you don't realize that most people eat the whole bag, and you usually have to multiply the what's written there by the serving size. So most people usually eat 2.5 to 3 servings of it, and so you have to multiply things like microwave popcorn. So some labels now have gotten smart where they say if you eat the whole container, this is how many calories. But many people get away with, many manufacturers get away with, um, giving you a smaller sense, and when we're more likely to eat a lot or a multiple of the container. So be aware of the serving size and how much it is. One thing, if you're interested in potato chips, the alternative chips like the vegetable chips or the any other kind of chip, if you look at it, look on the back, they actually have the same amount of calories as well as the same serving size as traditional potato chips. So veggie chips are not any different in terms of nutritiousness than regular old potato chips. So if you want regular old potato chips,
Just eat it.
eat an appropriate serving of it. Don't eat a lot of servings of the veggie chips, thinking that it's somehow better.
Thank you. And that's very true. One thing I have found myself doing is investing in snack size or sandwich size bags. And if I purchase a big bag of trail mix or a big bag of um, roasted almonds or something like that that I use as snacks, I go ahead and I measure out and I break it down into those individual bags. Because that'll help me not just to go in there. I've measured it out ahead of time. So it's different ways that you can definitely track. And so looking at those nutritional facts, and I do recall what Dr. Rayford is saying, because it'll give you a serving size, but then sometimes it'll have that second bar that'll give you the total amount if you consume that whole bag. So that is very helpful when looking at the information out there to see what it is. Does anyone have anything else about reading food labels? Maybe something that you have found that was useful or even beneficial for you?
I would just say learn the terms of all the words for sugar, because a lot of them will say it's sugar free, but it'll have another form of sugar that it's not really sugar free.
Yes. That was something that was so interesting to me when I went on the diabetes website when it talked about the different fats. And so that's why, I included on the slide, fat free is actually this, and saturated fat free. So it's definitely different wording out there that will make you think, oh, if it just says fat free, you definitely may need to look into it a little bit more just to make sure that that's what it is. So,
So be aware that labeling is labeling is set by like committees and legislature, so that 0 grams of trans fat may not equal 0 grams of trans fat. So you have to be careful that certain foods um, like potato chips and um, junk food snacks that say 0 grams of trans fat, that if you're below a certain threshold per serving size, you can get to put zero trans fat on there, even if there is indeed trans fat. So if you eat multiple servings of something that says 0 trans fat, but there's actually less than 5 grams, then if you eat 10 servings, you've actually consumed 50 grams of trans fat. So unfortunately, with labeling, zero doesn't mean zero. And another unfortunate part about it is you can't use labeling to determine what's a vegetable and what's not. Again, it's set by committee and Congress, and tomato paste is not a vegetable. So sorry, it's not a vegetable. Doesn't count as a serving. V8 drink does not count as a V8 does not count as a serving. Juice does not count as a serving of fruit and vegetables, unfortunately, despite what the labels. And they're able to put those things on the label just because it's kind of set up in committees and stuff. So sorry.
okay. So, Dr. Rayford, I have a question for you. How could someone get to if you're purchasing something and you're looking at this label that says nutritional facts, where's the true record of the nutritional facts if they're able to make those changes in the wording like that?
Yeah, you may have to look on the internet. You may have to look. There are certain foods that you can count on it having some trans fat. If it's fried, you can count on it having trans fat. If it's fried or it's preserved, I mean the Twinkie and the preserved baked goods and stuff, so you can count on it having. So it's probably will you be able to know the exact number? Probably not. But when you eat something that's like a snack food, just know that you're getting some trans fat, and that may help you keeping the serving size small. So, yeah, I would not look at the trans fat label. Like again, if it's fried, you can count on it being trans fat in there. They just were able to keep it down to a certain level per serving size. And same thing for the snack goods. So the little Debbie cakes, the Twinkies, and all of those things, you can count on a little bit of trans fat being there.
Sometimes they'll use words that would make you think healthier, like light. It's a light, whatever it is. And if you turned around the food labels, it may look the same as the whole or the full blown thing, that it's just called light, which really doesn't necessarily have a nutritional set improvement. And they place things side by side. I know I've accidentally grabbed the almond milk and it be almond milk, but it not be the unsweetened that I was thinking I was reaching for, and it be, twice as many calories, just the regular almond milk. So I don't know if they're just basing them side by side because that's that company's area in the cooler, or if they're somehow, it feels like they're trying to trick you sometimes when they put it so close, and it's not that much different than the regular.
That's true. I've actually grabbed a box of, what is it, less sodium Cheez-It crackers, and they pretty much taste the same. So I said, okay, that is definitely have to be careful with that wording there. One thing that you want to do when you're tracking your food is you have to be realistic with yourself about it. You have to be realistic about your goals that you intend to set, what it is that you want to achieve, and make it doable for you. So in doing that, you may want to write out an action plan or even set your goal of how you want to go about making the changes in your diet, or how you want to go about adding into um, your daily routine of tracking your food. Um, don't just get up and say, okay, well, I'm gonna write down everything that I eat today, but you're not prepared to, in between seeing patients, oh, I'll just remember and recall and do that. That won't be as realistic as going ahead and preparing ahead of time. Be specific with what it is that you want to do, what you'll do, how you're going to do it, when you will do it, and how long you plan on doing it. Also, be flexible with yourself. Um, there's always room to make changes for things, and it's your goal. You don't have to, your goal, your action plan on how you want to do it. Focus on the behaviors. If you notice that when you don't have anything, you didn't prepare to stay at work longer, and it's time for dinner, you don't have anything to snack on, so you just go get something out the vending machine. That may be a time to look at the behaviors and focus and prepare ahead of time. Maybe have some snacks in your office, something that's healthy where you don't have to take the option of that. And as I said, make it enjoyable for you, something that you can do. You choose the method that works best for you. What was that app? I had it in my notes, but I did not have it in my, I didn't write it on here. My Fitness Pal is one of the apps.
Yep. So um, Angel uses Lose It.
Lose it. That's it.
Yep.
I have heard of
Um, so My Fitness Pal, Lose It. Paige brought up an app. Um, I
it's
can't think of the name. Paige. What was that?
carb
Card
manager.
Manager. Okay. And Angel said Lose It can also track activity. And that's true. It can link with your activity trackers and things like that, and your weight. And then there was a question about ice drinks.
Mm.
Um, Ice drinks, whether or not they're good or bad. I'm not familiar with ice drinks. Does anybody know what we're talking about? ICE drinks?
I'm familiar with them. They say they're sugar free and they're carb free, but I don't know what actual ingredients are in it. I'd have to look it up and could maybe bring it back next week.
Okay.
Yeah. So is it so it's a brand that's called ice drinks?
It is. It's a
Yes.
carbonated like flavor water.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Different
So
places around here make them. I know one is very popular with the hospital here. I can't remember the name of it, but
like
I
is
hear
that
a
they're
lot of
talking about like
places make.
loaded tea?
Yes.
Loaded tea?
Is that what you're
Okay.
talking
Yeah.
about? I think we're on the same
Yeah.
page. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'll talk in general about artificial sweeteners. Um, in general, um, if you're a person who drink a lot of regular sodas and you make that change to artificial sweeteners, you may get a weight loss benefit for that time period. But over time, artificial sugars don't give you more weight loss. And in fact, depending on certain studies, it found that people who use artificial sweeteners more had more trouble losing weight. And that could have been, that may be a chicken or the egg thing, could be people who are trying to get their weight down and they're resorting to artificial sweeteners. But I think it comes down to there's no shortcuts So when you uncouple sweetness from calories, you don't necessarily get as much of a benefit that you think. That your brain, there's been some kind of suggestions of why people who use lots of artificial sweeteners don't lose as much weight as they want. And a few reasons could be one, it changes the healthy bacteria in your gut. The people who use a lot of sweeteners changes the bacteria of your gut, and they have more bacteria associated with gaining weight than losing weight. Another reason is the difference in sweetness to calories, that your brain expects the calories commensurate with the sweetness. And so you may actually have more sweet cravings when you use artificial sweeteners because your brain says, hey, I just had something that's very, very sweet. Where's the calories? And then the other suggestion is that people who people when they use an artificial or a artificially sweetened soda, they give themselves permission to eat something else calorie laden. So people may say, I'm going to supersize my fries if I get the Diet Coke, or I'm going to get dessert because I'm drinking the Diet Lemonade. So long story short is, in moderation, artificial sweeteners are helpful. Outside of moderation, they may be a whole lot helpful. They may actually be make it harder to get towards your goals. So alternatives to artificial sweeteners is using, like, fruits and vegetables infused water. So it's not necessarily you get the benefit of the fruit and vegetable in the water instead of the artificial sweeteners. And so I tend to encourage people to, as much as they can, to cut down on artificial sweeteners as well. As as something that makes it harder. So heavy reliance on artificial sweeteners may not be so helpful for those reasons.
Okay, does anyone else have any questions or comments? That was my presentation on tracking your food. I hope that you actually receive some information that will be beneficial and helpful for you. Um, I was not able to make changes to the slides that were um, to the handout that you all may have received or looked at, but I'll see if we'll put the slides out there with the information on it.
Don't forget the weekly weights and the weekly exercise minutes. You do not have to track your nutrition, but if you would like to track it, if you would like to share if you would like to share your intake with us for some feedback, feel free to do it. But again, it's not required, and you can email us at diabetesprevention@nmhs.net.
Folks will choose to do a diet or food diary when they've hit a plateau and they just need to think about it a minute of what am I eating, what am I exercising, what do I need to decrease, increase, but not like Dr. Rayford said, not forever, not every day, or is it required? It just may be for certain times you want to use that tool to say, okay, what am I doing? Let me analyze.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, everybody. We won't stretch it out if we don't have to. So just a reminder, let us know if we can help. For those who will work on figuring out how to get the incentives to the people doing the year-round program, we may reach out to you kind of through email in the next few weeks. Be expecting a survey to give us a little bit more information. We're working on the survey, and we'll get that out to you to get more information for those who are participating in the year-long program. And again, if you have questions, comments, just let us know. And remember, guys, our goal is to prevent type 2 diabetes and to help you meet your goals. So don't feel any pressure, and we're all in this together. I think we are all at different phases in our lifestyle change, and I think the reality is it's something that you have to work with for the rest of your life. There's really no getting there and then quitting doing all the habits. Is always, doing something. So some people are 6 years in, some people are longer, and it's about, it's about the healthy behaviors. The healthy behaviors are way, way, way more important than the weight. And so my hope is that you're getting the information about the healthy behaviors to help us prevent diabetes. And so nobody has anything else. I think we're done.
If anybody wants a copy of that nutrition, the fast line, like I say, it's a paper copy. I am happy to mail it to you or drop it off for you at the hospital. Or if you're the fellows, I can leave it out on the fellow in the room for the fellows on the table for you to pick up. Just you may just want to thumb through it, or you may want one for your car for when you have to go through a drive-through or something, and you want to pick the healthiest choice from that restaurant that you can.